Good morning, children. How are you all? Hope you are all doing well. So, in our previous session, we have learned about the northern mountains, right? So, before we go into today's session, let's just recap. Okay, so the northern mountains consist of the Karakoram ranges and the greater Himalayas. Isn't it, children? The northern mountains consist of the Karakoram ranges and the Himalayas. And the Himalayas are divided into three parts. The greater Himalayas are Himadri ranges. The middle are lesser Himalayas or Himachal ranges. The lower Himalayas are also called as Shivalik ranges. As of now, we have learned about the greater Himalayas and the middle or lesser Himalayas. And today we are going to learn about the lower Himalayas, also known as Shivalik ranges. Lower Himalayas are also known as Shivalik ranges. So look at the location of the lower Himalayas, that is Shivalik ranges, children. So when we have learned before, this was the northern greater mountains, that is greater Himalayas, and then you have middle or lesser Himalayas, and this colored in yellow is the lower Himalayas. Look at the beauty of the lower Himalayas. Children, it's in this lower Himalayas, we generally find hills than mountains. So before I go forward, let me just remind you what is a mountain and what is a hill. A hill, you know already, it looks like a heap, okay, and above the sea level. So if a hill is more than 800 meters high, it is called a mountain. If a hill is more than 800 meters high, then it is called as a mountain. But whereas in greater Himalayas, we found the mountains which were more than 6,000 meters high. And even in the middle or lesser Himalayas, we found them. But when you come to lower Himalayas, that is in the Shivalik range, we generally find only the hills rather than mountains. That is the reason in the greater Himalayas, people, animals cannot live, even plants cannot grow because that was completely covered with the snow. In the middle or lesser Himalayas, we could see some trees growing and we could see some animals also living. But in the lower Himalayas, people also live. So many villages are found here. So villages live here. And this image that you see on the screen is called terrace farming. It's called terrace farming. What is terrace farming? The practice of growing crops on a series of steps in the slopes of hills is called terrace farming. The practice of growing crops on a series of steps in the slopes of the hills is called terrace farming. Children, in the lower Himalayas, as I told you, it is completely covered with the hills. So because of that, we need to cultivate, right? People need to cultivate. If the villagers are there, they need to cultivate something so that they can eat. They need to have the food, right? So those hills, you can see the hills here like steps, right? So on these steps, on the slopes of the hills, there are these steps. On these steps, they cultivate. That is in the lower Himalayas. So cultivating or practicing of growing crops on a series of steps in the slopes of hills is called terrace farming. So next, children, in the Shivalik ranges, we find thick forest, whereas in the greater Himalayas, we couldn't find any trees. In the middle or lower Himalayas, we could find some trees, but whereas in the Shivalik ranges, we can find thick forest. And it is also home to many wild animals. Mostly we find here the animals like the white elephant or the leopard. Sorry, this one, elephant, children. That is an elephant that lives in the snowy area where it is completely covered with the snow. And the tiger, that is snow leopard, children. It is snow leopard. That means it lives in a place where it is completely cold. Okay. So, and also we find rhinoceros. We also find rhinoceros here. And now we see the south of the Shivalik ranges. We have an area called Terai forest. Okay, we have an area called Terai. So generally we have even Terai forest, children. But now we are only going to learn about the Terai. What is Terai? Terai is marshy land. Marshy land means wetland. Okay. The region to the south of the Shivalik range, we find Terai. Terai is nothing but a marshy land. What is it, children? Wetland. Okay. So a belt of marshy jungle. Jungle means forest, children. A belt of marshy jungle lying between the lower foothills of the Himalayas and the plains. Here plains comes the northern plains. When we were learning about the physical features of India, we learned about the northern mountains, the northern plains, right? To the south of the northern mountains, we have the northern plains. So here, the belt of marshy jungle, that means wet forest, lying between the lower foothills of the Himalayas and the plains is terai. Okay, now, so as of now, we have learned about the three parts of the Himalayas. That is the greater Himalayas, the middle or lesser Himalayas, or the lower Himalayas. The greater Himalayas known as Himadri, the middle or lesser Himalayas known as Himachal, and the lower Himalayas known as Shivalik. So now we will learn, as a whole, we will learn the importance of the Himalayas. So how are the Himalayas important? Let's see. Look at a brown line here, children. Okay. Here we can't see the brown line because this is not India. This is Nepal. This is Bhutan. That's why we can't see here brown line. But here you can see because this is a Sikkim, which is a part of India. And here Arunachal Pradesh, that is also a part of India. Sorry. And here the other states, Jammu Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, all these are also the parts of India. That's why we can see the brown line here. Okay. Himalayas acts as a natural boundary between India and China. This is all China, children. Okay, this is all China. So Himalayas acts as a boundary. Generally in our houses, for our houses also we have boundary line, right? We have a gate where people cannot enter into our gate without our permission. Yes, that protects from outsiders. In the same way, this border line, that is the boundary or the Himalayas, stay as a natural boundary between India and China. Okay, it shows the division. This of the hills, the mountains, the one part is the India, the other part is China. So that shows the boundary between India and China. So Himalayas acts as a natural boundary between India and China. And the next one, it protects India from foreign invasions occupying, other countries occupying us. Okay, even Britishers invaded India, right? So like that, here Himalayas protect India from foreign invasions. That means the foreigners from other countries, they cannot enter into India. Recently we even heard about China, right? China people were coming to occupy our country, our air, the borders. So here, so the Himalayas protect India from foreign invasions. If there are no Himalayas, people can easily come and go. But because there are Himalayas, people have to climb over it if they have to enter into India. Children, you know that we have defense system, okay, defense mechanism that we have in our country. We have three-tier defense system. One is Airways, Air Force, other one is Navy, other one is Army. Children, Navy protects. We have Indian Ocean, right? So India is a peninsula where we have water on three sides. But full Indian Ocean or full of the all the Arabian Sea or all the Indian Ocean water is not ours, children. As I told you while I was explaining you the previous lesson, once we have borders till Lakshadweep Islands, but after that we have Indira Point. Remember about Indira Point? I told you that is the end of our country. Yes, that is the end of our country, Indira Point, which is located in Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So after that Indira Point, even the waters doesn't belong to India. Even the water do not belong to India. Yes, children. So the Navy protects Indian waters. That means even if it is the ocean, if the ocean is in between the two countries, children, half of the ocean water will be used by the other country and half will be used by the other country. So Navy will protect India from people entering from the waters. Okay, Air Force will protect India from Indian air. That means from Indian, when they have to enter into Indian air, that means Indian area in our sky, they have to take the permission of our country. So generally we have flights come and go, all that is okay. That is the passenger flights that we have, that is okay. But if every flight that enters into India has to take the permission. Okay, so here the Air Force will protect India so that people from other countries cannot come into our country to invade our country. Okay, Army will protect on the land borders. China incident was a land border. Okay, So this is the three-tier defense system that we have in India. Okay, those three departments, that is the three-tier defense system, protects India from the foreign invasions. So Himalayas protects India from foreign invasions. They act as a natural army, right? Okay, fine. The next one. Himalayas acts as a barrier against the cold winds from the north, thus makes life comfortable in the plains. Children, from the north, if the cold winds enter into India, people cannot live comfortably, because when the cold wind enters, what happens? The climate becomes so cool, right? So we won't be able to live comfortably. But because of the Himalayas and the cold winds from the north, when they enter into India, they cannot enter because Himalayas are protecting. So they cannot enter. So they stay back on the other side of our country. And so on the other side of the Himalayas, the cold winds stay back. So these cold winds do not enter into India. So Indian people can live happily or comfortably. The other one, they prevent the rain-bearing winds from leaving India, resulting in heavy rainfall over the country. As we were telling that the cold winds from the north cannot enter into India, in the same way, the rain-bearing winds from India cannot leave India because of northern mountains. Children, you might have seen clouds, right? And you know what is water cycle. Do you know, children, what is water cycle? Very good. You have already learned about water cycle. Yes. So in the water cycle, then first you see evaporation, then it comes precipitation, condensation. Yes. So the clouds, children, they move according to in the direction of the wind. So if there are no northern mountains, those clouds that are formed because of our water. Okay. So those clouds, what they do? They go off. If there are no northern mountains, if there are no Himalayas, the clouds go off. And so we will not be having proper rain in our country. But because the northern mountains are blocking the rain-bearing winds from leaving India, the whole rain that comes through these winds, that is from the rain-bearing winds, all that rain, it comes only to India. That means it rains only in India from these rain-bearing winds. If there are no these mountains, automatically the rain-bearing winds will leave our country and we will not have sufficient rainfall in our country. So the northern mountains, the Himalayas, prevent the rain-bearing winds from leaving India, resulting in heavy rainfall over our country. Next, melting snow of the Himalayan glaciers provide water to our rivers throughout the year. In your previous lesson also we were learning, children, that glaciers, because of the greater Himalayas, we have those glaciers, and then those glaciers, according to the temperature, they melt off and slowly they form down and form into rivers. Those rivers, the rivers that originate from the Himalayas are known as perennial rivers. What are perennial rivers, children? The rivers that flow, or the rivers that have water throughout the year, are called perennial rivers. We have so many rivers in India, children, like Krishna, Godavari, Brahmaputra, Yamuna, Sindhu. All these rivers, some of them are perennial, some of them are seasonal. In India, we have so many seasonal rivers, but we have only some perennial rivers. Okay. So now we will learn a seasonal rivers. I'll tell you what it is. Seasonal rivers means we have water only, those rivers, that is the seasonal rivers, have water only during rainy season and sometimes during winter season. But by then this summer season comes, most of the rivers dry up, like our Krishna, Godavari. That's why during rainy season we have so much of water, and we save that water in our dams, because we know that they are seasonal rivers and they will not have water throughout the year. And so we need the water even for dry months, that is during summer season. That is the reason we save the water during rainy season through our dams. But whereas perennial rivers, the rivers that originate from the Himalayas, are called perennial rivers. These rivers have water throughout the year, children, because throughout the year they are covered with the snow. Throughout the year the snow melts off. Throughout the year the water flows. So Himalayan glaciers provide water to our rivers throughout the year. That's why the northern plains are very fertile, children, because they have perennial rivers like Ganga, Yamuna, Brahmaputra, Indus. All these are perennial rivers. And Himalayan forest provides us with valuable products such as timber, medicinal plants, honey, resin, etc. Children, timber, you know, it is a wood. Okay. and we use wood for many other things, maybe furniture, maybe paper, whatever it is, but we use for many other things. And we have medicinal plants. Okay, so many medicinal plants. And then honey and resin. Resin is a liquid, children, that is taken from the trees, and generally when the tree is cut by itself, the tree releases it. Okay, so that resin is used in synthetic items to make the synthetic items. And in the lower Himalayas, we also find many wild animals. Generally, because we have thick forest in the lower Himalayas, automatically we will be having the wild animals when you have the thick forest. So children, with this, we will come to the end of our session. But before I complete it, let's just recap once again. So we have learned that the mountains, the northern mountains consist of the Karakoram ranges and the Himalayas. And the Himalayas consist of three parts, that is the greater Himalayas, the middle or lower Himalayas, lesser Himalayas, and the lower Himalayas. Greater Himalayas are very cold, completely covered with the snow, high above 6,000 meters from the sea level, and middle up, so people and animals or trees cannot grow there. When you come to middle or lesser Himalayas, the climate is not as cold, but still it is very cold. People cannot, people only very rarely you will find the people. And when you come to lower Himalayas, that is Shivalik ranges, we find mostly hills, and then we find thick forest, we find terai, we find terrace farming, we find many wild animals in the thick forest, and we also find many rivers that are flowing into our country. And this is about our lesson. But before the next session, children, keep ready your India political maps. Thank you, children. Have a great day.